to the news. I am Saja Brito. Coming up, leader of the United Democratic Party registers to vote in upcoming December election. Artist Hussein Dada donates to Sukuta Health Center. And our special guest on News Review today is security expert and the CEO of Marshall Security, Modu Lamin Moro Kamara. But first, we will take a look at the newspapers. The Standard newspaper is reporting that Point Radar registers 314 as Saudi confirms 60,000 pilgrims for this year. Court says Yakumba and Yusuf Al-Jaite in fact have a case to answer. Let's take a look at some of these stories in detail. Gambia International Airline has already registered over 314 pilgrims when Saudi Arabia announced over the weekend it is limiting the 2021 Hajj to only 60,000 of its residents. This figure is further limited to only those vaccinated against a COVID-19 pandemic, restricting Muslims from abroad for the second straight year. The Gambia's national carrier had been allocated a quota of 445 pilgrims in the 2021 pilgrimage. Over 300 had already booked places with the agency already. That figure did not include private travel agencies that over the years equally participated in airlifting and ground operations on Hajj each year. Principal Magistrate Esatu Jan Njai of the Kanifing Magistrates Court yesterday ruled in favor of the prosecution that Yankuba Jaite and Yakumba Jaite, who were charged with assault and obstruction, have a case to answer. This followed a no-case submission made by the defense. In her ruling, she told the court that the first accused person, Yakumba Jaite, was charged on count 1 for the offense of assault, punishable with 2 years imprisonment. She stated that on count 2, Yakumba Jaite was charged together with Yusufa Jaite for the offense of obstruction of inspectors, contrary to section 62, subsection 1A of the Drug Control Act. So she further posited that the participants of the offense on count 1 alleged that on or about the 6th day of October 2020 at Kololi and diverse places in the Kanifing municipality of the Republic of the Gambia, she unlawfully assaulted one Ibrahim Fadera, a narcotic officer, by holding his neck while he was on due execution of his duties. Access to Information Bill goes for second reading at the National Assembly. Legislators at the National Assembly yesterday passed the Access to Information Bill 2019 for the second reading after a long debate. The bill was tabled by the Attorney General and Minister for Justice. It seeks to make information accessible to every person in the Gambia, including students, researchers, journalists, and also to place an obligation on public bodies and private organizations that deal with public funds, so that whenever information is required, the information holder provides it for the person seeking it. NPP will not be intimidated. December 4th is Judgment Day. This, according to the Minister of Information and Communication, Ibrahim Silla. The Minister of Information and Communication Infrastructure, Ibrahim Silla, says the National People's Party will not be intimidated by the allegations that they are registering non-Gambians to obtain Gambian voters' card, adding that December 4th will be Judgment Day on the outcome of the elections. Silla, who did not mention any political party, claimed these are strategies employed by some people knowing they would be defeated come December 4th. That will be it for the Point newspaper. Let's take a look at Foroya. Foroya newspaper is reporting that TRRC Executive Secretary resigns. Lawmakers considers Access to Information Bill. We've already looked at that story. Bundung Alcalo dismisses civil society organization coalition's findings on issuance of attestation. The Executive Secretary of the Truth, Reconciliation and Reparations Commission has resigned to President Adama Barrow, and when contacted by reporters, he referred them to his Facebook timeline, where he said, yes, it is true, confirming to his friends and family that he has in fact tendered his resignation to the president and given him notice that he will be leaving his position as Executive Secretary of the TRRC with effect from July 31st, 2021. That will be it for the newspapers. Let's go for a break and we'll be right back. Stay tuned. now, the leader of the United Democratic Party today obtained his voters' card for the forthcoming elections. Dabo was accompanied by his wife and other UDP officials. Mati Senghor has more.
Mr. Dabo registered at Sabina Junction in Pipeline on Thursday, the latest political leader to be confirmed by the IEC.
For a long time.
After getting his voter's card, Mr. Dabo called on Gambians to get registered.
Well, the message to the public is that this is an onerous civic duty and responsibility which every Gambian who is of age and mentally fit should really perform. It is through this process that we place ourselves in the position to elect our representatives, both at the presidential, National Assembly and local government level. So it is a very important process, and I want to encourage every Gambian to register. This is the only opportunity you have, and you do not want to postpone your registration after attaining the qualification to a supplementary registration. We know that there will be 1 or 2 more supplementary registrations in the next decade. But this is the most important time, because this is the time that we are going to elect the president. And it is after election of the president that you are also going to elect your National Assembly members, and you will also elect your mayors, your council chairmen, and your councillors. A supplementary registration will not afford you that opportunity. So please, I appeal to every Gambian, and particularly the young. You are the ones whose fate is at stake. You are the ones who cry foul. So make sure that you do not cry foul. Make sure that you get registered and choose a person of your choice. That is the message this, my registration here, indicates.
According to Mr. Dabo, UDP has always been a law-abiding party.
Well, UDP has always advocated for the maintenance of peace at all periods, not just during election periods. We had always said that since 1996, we have always advised our supporters to be law-abiding, to ensure that they do not get involved in anything that will lead to violence. And thank God, in the Jammeh era, allegations were made against us, we are prosecuted, and we are found not guilty. So that shows that we are a very law-abiding nation, we are a very law-abiding people. And since 2017, I've been telling Gambian people, UDP in particular, that they must be people who respect the law, in very absolute terms. Because the majority of the lawmakers come from the UDP. We do not want our own people to make laws and then our supporters be violating those laws. I have been advocating that, and that has been my message all throughout. No one can take that away from me. You journalists, you are all witnesses to that.
On the issue of the registration exercise, Dabo says he is satisfied.
Yes, because my team went up country, I think on 10 days tour, and they came back and reported to me that they are very satisfied. And even yesterday, they went to parts of the West Coast region, and they are very happy about the way and manner the registration is conducted, the SROs cooperating, some, of course, officers, really, they don't think alike. So they have some hiccups there, but overall, it has been satisfactory.
Meanwhile, the UDP leader dismissed claims that UDP is targeting fullers in the voter registration exercise, terming it as absolute rubbish.
It's absolute rubbish. Absolute. Why would we target fullers? Let me tell you, if you listen to Mama Jali's song, Ale Fonsaje, you will hear her say, Jari Jalok Dima, Salisware Dima. These are fullers, my mother. How would we target fullers? It's absolute rubbish.
He concluded that he will cast his vote on December and then move to State House if he wants to.
Well, December 4th, I come here to cast my vote, and then, inshallah, wait for the transition period to elapse, and then move to State House if I want to.
For TFN News Review, I am Mati Senghor.
popular Gambian artist Hussein Dada yesterday donated sanitary items to the Sukuta Health Center. Our Fatu Kamara was at the handing over ceremony and she now files in this report.
The Runway Entertainment label artist Hussein Dada Tuesday donated sanitary equipments to the Sukuta Health Center. The Sukuta born said contributing to the development of his community is a responsibility. He thanked his label for the support.
Come like meta music work on all sign like about like 4 or 5 years, and for Najele come like Cabrina music go down for B like these are the aspects that are missing. Cool melon come me ma follow. You know, I'm sembo nyinti but maybe you don't have the right idea, and then but sign developing and then growing up. Started having all these ideas come ka try put ka impact to more life kono. This is something me along come saying lafta ka focus akam back. So I spoke to my management and I was like, I really think that we are supposed to do things like this. Like we have to start doing things like this. And then if I appreciate back come kafoko, like this is something me along it will be very impactful to 1 or 2 people out there. Adoyata nyawo nyafanang mol bijele melba appreciate la, you know, especially starting with home memu sukutati. So be wole mol sijang and my label, those are the partners, Runway Entertainment, Legit Cartel, those are the ones behind the whole thing. So I spoke to them and then they really buy the idea. So that's why they give us the go ahead, and that's why we're here today.
Manager of artists Andy Spike thanked the clinic for accepting the items.
Today is a very important day for us, for Runway Entertainment and for Hussein Dada as well, who is obviously signed by Runway Entertainment, also under Legit Cartel. Basically, Hussein, we all know Hussein is from Sukuta, and no matter what happens, they say charity begins at home. So at some point in his career, he said, you know what, I want to do something for my hometown. And then it's nothing more to do than to start with health. I think with health, means wealth. If people are healthy, then that means they will be able to live for a very long time. So when he came and then, you know, he started with the management team and he said he wanted to do something, and this was his intention. He did not even come to meet anyone here, but then he just wanted to surprise the team, and that is why we are all here today, you know, to make a very small presentation to the Sukuta Health Center, and then we hope that the Sukuta Health Center people will also put this to good use. I know it is very small, but then under Runway Entertainment, Hussein hopefully hopes to do more of these things.
Officer in charge Sukuta Health Center, Landing Kamara, commends the artist for the gesture.
I was very surprised when I see all this material stuff coming. I think this is first of its kind since I came here. Well, first of all, on behalf of my colleagues, on behalf of the patients, I would like to thank the donors for considering Sukuta for these valuable materials. Certainly, it will have great impact on our sanitary condition in this facility. And also, it will help our athletes to do the work better, and it will also protect them from getting infection by bringing them a proper, you know, glove working material. So I would like to thank you, all of you, you know, for this symbolic gesture.
Sira Federa, head of the clinic sanitary department, said the donation is timely.
Because before being in charge nata mbano kam fon pour nyama koran anim fitaran fon because mboka nyino soto jang akam batandil na in charge ka fan sun ko do le bondi aka san so bi nyini natale man do kuran fon soto a fo in charge ka man ko do soto folo ni nga soto mba sana because abala sarare le yusula so e ma bir nga nje do na kontano wartan fe nyo fo aka mun tal ka to ya na minum jam problème akam talo na minum problème o bijan because I fon fen samana jang sula tabela nsula tabela le chew omo fitarango because fitaran fon e kana junal fon fe ka nyo saba pour min folo be futala ay fitaran soto ese do ja folo na fitaran ci kay taya mabo pour do kana saba non te ndol al mo nyola do ko be letlal wala problème wod atolo man fen soto be min fola le foka fala ala baraka usen mbe duwala usen ye alma misiko sambala nyato alma le aso kayro laje alafta minaje alma wasoto jalma ale baraka kaije because katabakel ala ba jolan.
Usainu Dada is one of the Gambia's finest artists, making a name both in the music industry and as a humanitarian. Fatu Kamara reporting for the Fatu Network News Review. The
Tough
runway
Africa Global presents the new Tulip Gardens. Tough Tulip Gardens is set to comprise service plots in sizes ranging from 220 to 570 meters square. Deposit as low as $83,600 is only an 18-month interest-free payment plan with only 20% deposit on the service plots. Please contact 376-2333 or 776-2333. Tough.
Welcome back. Gambians continue to raise concern about the current security situation in the country, and today I am joined by security expert and the CEO of Marshall Security, Mr. Modu Lamin Muro Kamara. Mr. Kamara, welcome to the FATU Network.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me here.
It's a pleasure. I think we've heard you before, but it was on a very, very short segment. So I said to myself, we need to bring this guy because he has all these ideas that he needs to share with the Gambian people. So
yeah, sure.
It's already out there. It's an open secret. We've seen it from the burglaries, you know, homicides. How would you describe the current security situation of this country?
Well, thank you for raising that pregnant question here. But is very terrible. The current situation in terms of security in the Gambia has never been seen before. We are almost in a state of lawlessness in the sense that people are just acting anyhow they want. Though we'll come to the factors responsible of all that, you know. But then, no matter how tired the populace should be, we were known for the smiling coast, law-abiding people, very disciplined public. You know, we shouldn't tarnish our image into such. But the current situation in the Gambia is so terrible. It's very bad.
Why do you think is the change? Because, you know, oftentimes people tend to come up with the why, you know, the reason why crime is in the surge in the country. And then sometimes they tend to cite certain reasons like, you know, well, the youths are unemployed and then there is too much drug in the country. What do you think?
I think bulk of this has got to do with professionalism, the reform, you know, the security sector reform. I think when we voted in to get the dictator out of that seat, democracy came with values, but unfortunately those values were misinterpreted to our grassroots. And when I say the grassroots here, I'm referring to the youth. The cream of the society is the youth. The youth don't know that democracy doesn't call for violence or lawlessness of any sort. And today, the reform, the security sector reform, remain, you know, unsolved. It is, you know, not acted on. And once that situation continues, that trend continues in the Gambia, it's like the police, you have some professionals in the police, the organograph is there, but do we have the manpower? Do we have the necessary equipment to combat crime? Are we having the right intelligence forces on the ground to gather information and to share that information with the reaction forces, the quick reaction forces, both in the police or when things go beyond their control, getting the army involved? Do we have those mechanisms in place? Are the police equipped enough to react to even a phone call for assistance? Or when cases are reported, are they solved at the end of the day? So these are things that remains a mystery in the country, and is a situation that we cannot keep quiet on. Rather, we must look for a way out to ensure we maintain our security. Because the challenges of security in the Gambia and the reform, the way forward here, is we have to be free from that dependency. Freedom from dependency on the West in terms of the strategic thinking and the funding. We are still relying on the knowledge from the West. We don't trust ourselves to deal with our own situations. We are still depending on the funding of the West to take care of our internal problems. So how can we combat crime by thinking and relying on funds which are not even in place? So we must concentrate on public safety, especially in the urban area, because problems, the murder, the robbery, the breaking and entry, the rape, the assault, the burglary, bulk of it happens in the urban area. And are we, our government, tackling the rural urban migration? Are there the necessary infrastructure, in the rural areas to keep the youth engaged in the rural areas without coming here? And when they come here, what are they doing here? So all these are vast areas that we need to look at in order to know that the situation in the Gambia in terms of security here, for it to be solved, a lot of hands must be on deck to solve that. This will form a solid foundation for the internal stability that needs for political, social, and economic development. So far, thinking and actions as Africans, security reform, our scholars and preachers or our practitioners are fixed on the Eurocentric mode. Our security reform is a long-term and endeavor, and therefore better dealt with by dividing the agenda on the basis of public safety, reform of the police, the National Guards, and access to justice.
Let's talk about the security service in this country, because having what some will call as a bloated security service, we also have foreign forces in the country. What do you think about their presence? Because oftentimes we tend to confuse their role. We understand that they are responsible for handling internal security when they are deployed. First, what is your position on their presence here?
Well, I don't think their position before, when we were having doubt whether the then Jammeh regime will go or not. And after the departure of the dictator, we were having security concerns. Security concerns is, do we have that trust in our national securities to take care of our presidential affairs? I think this is why the foreign troops are here. But along the line, I think after 1 year, we were certain that there is no such threat on the life of the president or the government, and the security services should be able to take care of the situation, the presidential guard and all the government interests in town. So to me, as a security and once part of that same, system, I don't think the presence of the economic forces here is justifiable anymore. We have to trust ourselves and we have to believe in ourselves. As one of the political leaders was saying one time here, that if I am opportune to be president, if they want, let them kill me, but they are the ones who are going to secure me. And I think I love that. I love to hear that. Gambians must be ready to take care of their destinies themselves. And the foreign forces got a mandate here. They've done enough to ensure, we stand where we stand, to ensure our institutions are well established, our government institutions, I'm saying, But then once the security sector reform is not implemented, we're still seeing them hanging here. I think they should just go. We should be able to take care of our security.
Yes, but
ourselves.
even the president has requested from ECOWAS to extend their mandate. They are saying that after the elections, we are going to have police officers from neighboring countries. What do you make of that?
Well, I don't think that's, to me, this is a personal opinion. I don't think, to me, is necessary. You know, equip your police force. Get them all the necessary equipments that they need. Get the experts out there to get their trainings overseas and come and implement what they train. You know, you have a lot of police officers that I know. I was in the military, but you have a lot of seasoned police officers who, you know, after being a forensic expert, at the end of the day, you see them, you know, in the charge office, for instance, you know, doing what, you know. So they are not equipped like the prison services, you know. For instance, access to justice. When people are arrested, they are given to the police. The police act, they send them to prison if they are found wanting. But is the capacity available for the prison services to detain the amount of offenders in the country here? Remember, the structure of the prison services have been existing for almost a decade now. You know, and the same structure, when the Gambian population was under 1 million people, the same structure is accommodating hundreds of inmates. So you see to it that, you know, it's like they are even, you know, in a haste for some offenders to leave. This is why you have, you know, pardons which are done. I mean, I don't know how is it done, but then, you know, there is mass pardon taking place, and people are not kept the way they should be kept in prisons, to reform them, equip them with the knowledge, so that when they depart from detention, they can make the best use of their lives outside. I think, you know, we are seriously incapacitated as a national security to deal with the current security situation in the country. But that doesn't warrant outside forces to take care of our security situations ourselves. So it's unacceptable.
We know the past months that it got really bad, that Gambians had to force the president to come out to issue a statement to the Gambian people regarding the security situation of this country, which he did. And some people still came out to say that that, you know, address was in fact half-baked, and it didn't, you know, look at the entire situation that Gambians are faced with. So we are going to take a look at that video, and then when we return, you will tell me what you think.
Thank you.
As a final warning to the criminals and the bandits in our midst, I hereby order the National Guard unit of the Armed Forces to be on standby for deployment when needed, to assume police duties as provided for under the National Guard unit police duties regulations. Together with all citizens, we must never allow the Gambia to be a safe haven for criminal acts and banditry. Under these circumstances, I am duty-bound to remind and call upon all well-meaning Gambians and residents of the Gambia to equally take their own security seriously. This is not about politics. Crime is not a political matter, and therefore should not be politicized. Let us join forces to eliminate crime and expel all criminals from our communities.
What do you think?
Well, I've heard. I don't think we need to go that far. Yes, we can get the National Guard on standby. Fine. But seeing them, you know, remember, you know, the Constitution, Chapter 4, Section 18 to 33, outline fundamental rights of the citizenry. Rights to move around, rights to education, rights of the women, right of the disabled, right to gather, to protest, you know, right to fair hearing, blah, blah, a lot of it. So, deploying the National Guards with their weapons in town, we are not into such situations, because we are not encountering, you know, armed robberies, day bright, bullion vehicles attack here and there, like in Ghana or whatever. You know, even in Ghana, you don't see that. I think if it is me to act on the current circumstances here, yes, is a constitutional mandate for the National Guards to be given limited police duties. I was part of that department. I was part of that unit in the military. Yes, but we are not in such situations now. What the National Guards can do, the police equally can do. If the police fail, that's the time you get them to give support to the police. You know, what is wrong with our intelligence departments? That's the biggest question. People causing those crimes in town, they live in town and they live with people. After collecting that money, they go and spend that money in town. So it's the job of the intelligence services to gather such information, identify those people, give them to the uniform units and deal with them. But you know, the Gambia is a tourism destiny. National Guard's presence on the streets is to the extreme. To me, you know, it's the police that should be given their equipments, well equipped, given all the necessary, motivations to deal with the current situation, not the National Guard.
So the National Guard is not a solution?
It's not a solution. It's not a solution. I can bet it's never a solution. Even in the United States of recent, Donald Trump was using the National Guard. What did it solve? It doesn't solve anything. Black Lives Matter demonstration, it sparked, and it was just coming to the extreme. You know, I think for us here, the Gambia, considering the size, is just like a state in one of these developed countries here. It's just like one of the, towns or whatever, communities in developed countries. So the police force should be well equipped to deal with the current situation. There is no way that the Gambia police force can fail in taking care of the Gambia situation for now. If it is to the extreme where people are moving with, assault weapons, killing people bright daylight, that's the time you need the army, because you don't need to use the security to cause any panic in town.
But we know that former President Yahya Jammeh was doing it, and you will find Gambians saying when he was here, he was doing the same thing, and criminals were basically hiding in their corners.
That's their thinking. That's their thinking. The greatest weapon for every dictator is threat. So the more you threaten your people, the more you get what you want. We are not in a dictatorial regime. We are in a democratic state. As I said earlier on, people have rights to, be anywhere justifiably, to gather, to come up with anything, to move around, but they shouldn't be lawless, So the dictatorial regime era, people were so much used to weapons in town that at the end of the day, people don't care, because you have the weapon on the street. So you say, okay, if I'm to go to mile 2, I don't care. So it's the prison that people should be afraid of than the weapons in town. So the police are the people who will apprehend people, get them to court and send them to prison if they are wanting, and people should be scared of that than seeing people with weapons in town. That's not going to solve the current situation. The current situation, the police, the Ministry of Interior, is consisting of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency. And bulk of these crimes are triggered with the use of those substances. So once those ones are not combated, we will always have an issue. So the police and the internal security, their capacities must be boosted. They must be motivated. Numerations too must also be considered in order for them to sacrifice their life, for the public, in order to deal with the crime, the situations currently.
I know when my good friend Mayfati was the Minister of Interior, he did, flout this idea out there that they were going to build a forensic lab in the Gambia. What is the significance of, having very good forensics team and an intelligence team as well in solving crime in this country? Because oftentimes we have all these crimes happening and then statements are issued by officials and then it just dies down. It's like there is no investigation, there is nothing going on after that.
it's just embarrassing. We're still coming back to the same thing. The equipped police force. Because when those equipments are available, it's embarrassing that you see somebody entering, leaving trace. Obvious trace, I mean, your fingerprint,
and
your footprint, your hair, whatever. All those evidences will be there. But there is no lab to process. And there is no, as I'm talking to you now, I don't come across no proper database to take care of the current, situations in the country. If I touch this pen and leave your lap, you should know that Mr. Kamara touched this pen here before. That's exactly what they should be looking at. Implanting some devices in town to identify who does what and at what time. You can see in the United States, when any, heinous crime happens, the police will come out, on a short briefing to say this and this and this happened. But we'll be back in, 1 hour, 2 hours time. We'll be back later to update you. That updating, somebody somewhere is outside gathering information for the police chief to come and share with the public. It's not that our situation here, after everything, the PRO will say, this is what happened, we arrested them. And then that's and that's the end of it. So it's because they're relying on, some equipments and a team, support team. We call them support teams in services. There are support teams that will feed them all the outcome of whatever their findings are, so that the public will be at ease. There are people who disappear here. Children are being reported on papers in the media houses. They are missing.
There are rape.
They are raped equally. And to trace some of these things out is a problem. Like, scenario involving a boy some time back here. The evidences must be out there, for police to pick up, go to the database and say, oh, this fingerprint matches so, and that's his face, and that's his DNA, whatever, and we move on. So I think when the Honorable Minister then, reiterated on, equipping the police with, a state-of-the-art forensic lab, is long overdue. And these are things that we should be looking at, not to invest in bringing extra foreign troops here. That's not the solution. The solution of the Gambia presently is in the hands of the Gambian security forces, who should be encouraged, equipped to move on. Because my last interview, I said that it is very expensive to keep troops together, to camp troops, very expensive. But you have to camp your troops. The PIU here, you go, if you want, 10 vehicles or 15 pickup vehicles on standby here, one in Brufut, another one in Kanifing, another one in Jambanjeli, whatever. I mean, if anything happens, you drive across, you crisscross. You will know where to meet, with anybody who does any crime, trying to escape, But unfortunately, we are well under-equipped, and our resources cannot cater for our current, destiny here in the Gambia.
What do you have to say to the president of the country and, of course, the Minister of Interior, who obviously doesn't come out to speak to the people for reasons best known to him? What do you have to say to them as far as the current situation is concerned?
The Honorable Minister is my mentor, and
say hi to your mentor. Tell him to try coming out and speak to the Gambian people.
My mentor, no, we'll be helping him. He's a nice guy. But then the problem presently is the government must look at their responsibility. The youth, they have their own challenge, their concern. Women and children, they have their concern. The concern of women and children is healthcare and education. The youth is employment. The elderly is the life after services. That's the social, amenities, that is social security that is available for them to take care of them. So if these things are not in place, everybody will have that problem. Skill training is lacking here. We don't have enough, skill-traded people around. Awareness and sensitization. What is wrong with the the security forces to come out and sensitize the people. Not everybody can listen to the FATU network, the GRTS, and so media houses. You know, it is the duty for them to use even the PA system, go to the remote villages, go to anywhere in town and talk to the people. Let the information of insecurity reach the people. Let people be careful of their surrounding and let them teach people how to report the unwanted people, you know, around so that it will not be late before they act. So all these are areas that, you know, we must collaborate with the police, and the police must come forward and help the public in sensitizing them.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kamara, for coming to the FATU Network.
Oh, thank you very much for having me too. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, that will be it for News Review today, guys. Do join us tomorrow if you can. Thank you very much for watching and have a good day.